Hey, thanks for being here. How are you? I hope you're doing good on this Sunday evening. I almost didn't do any more videos for this week because I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I guess. I lagged. I was lagging, but I managed to finish cohesing. Is that the right word? That's not a word. Cohesing is not a word. I managed to finish synthesizing some thoughts about this next aspect that's going to form. Venus going into a square with Uranus. Venus is in Virgo and Uranus is in Gemini. Before I start, I want to say that everything that I'm going to cover is my interpretations of the transits and the planetary energies. It may or may not show up for you in the way that I'm sensing and deducing from the charts. So bear in mind, this is all just symbolic exploration. It's not meant to be a verdict on anybody's time ahead. It's not a verdict on the week or the time frame. And also, I wanted to start talking about how the aspects that I cover, I usually cover them when they go exact, which is when the degrees line up exactly number by number. And I'm learning that, like, the themes from these aspects can show up at any time before and after they're exact. So, exactness doesn't mean that the timing is going to be right when it goes exact. The exact is just basically a crescendo. So there's times where I'll work on these forecasts and I'll experience the themes that come through days early, like days before the exact. And sometimes I'll experience the themes days after. And then other times, none of this stuff happens at all. So you never know. Okay, so I wanted to cover that. Venus in Virgo in a square with Uranus and Gemini. We have a mutable square. And Venus in Virgo teaches us how to seek refinement in relationships or relational efforts. We may feel more self-conscious while Venus is in Virgo or scrutinizing. It's harder to have something awkward happen when Venus is in Virgo and be like, whatever. There's a there's kind of an easily embarrassed vibe when Venus is in Virgo. It's doubling back and being like, did that land or should I have held back? There's this wondering of whether we should hold back when Venus is in Virgo. Because normally Venus is about extending social energy, like expressing the self in a way that's going to be received by others. Venus is in fall in Virgo. So that energy of like, I'm going to give this to you, whatever it is. It could be a creative effort, it could just be love, it could be some sort of opening up, relating, right? That's what Venus is about, relating. But in Virgo, it's like a shrinking, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have expressed that, or maybe I shouldn't have. I ran out of storage. What was I saying? Oh, this whole thing of being more prone to self-editing. That's Venus in Virgo. Like, it's not good enough when something comes through in an expressive sense. It's not good enough. We have to filter it, purify, because that's what Virgo is about. And another thing about Venus in Virgo is showing up responsibly in relationships. It's like a concentrated focus on the concept of being responsible in relationships, which means some of us putting a lot more effort into relating, like I kept saying, with the self-editing expression. But there's also this vibe of turning love into service when Venus is in Virgo. And there's a lot of desire to be acknowledged for hard work or efforts, which is usually a thing. But when Venus in Virgo, it's like, I feel like I can't relate unless you acknowledge what I'm putting in, because Virgo is about hard work and routine and doing all of the tending to the mundane sphere of life. So, wondering in relationships where people show up in the tangible sense. Where do they show up to assist or be helpful? How is productivity shared in relationships? These are all Venus and Virgo things. Showing love through acts of service. Venus and Virgo's love language is acts of service, which also means that during this cycle, it's easy to feel kind of bogged down by responsibility because that spontaneous Venus element is inhibited. So, what happens when Venus goes into a square with Uranus and Gemini? What is Uranus and Gemini about? Breaking out of habitual perceptions, because Gemini is how we are connecting dots. Gemini is like, I have a thought, I'm going to put it into a container, I'm going to express it. It's going to come through the filter of my mind. That's Gemini. And it's going to come out. It's another social sign. It's another sign. Gemini is about relating. So we have Venus, which is a planet about relating, squaring Uranus, with Uranus being in a sign that is also about relating. But Uranus and Gemini calls on us to change the habits of our perception. Like, what is something in relationships, possibly, or in other Venusian type pursuits? I tend to have an overfocus on relationships as a Venus thing. It just shows up the most. Where are we locked in to the same observations, the same perceptions in Venusian pursuits? Uranus in a square with Venus, it's like, break out of those habits connected to how you relate. It's a change of social routine, is what that kind of says to me. Uranus is about sudden movements, distraction, shifts, being liberated from a sense of imprisonment. So, what I got from this square is that it's possible to feel alienated. Like I said, this may not be accurate, take it with a grain of salt. But there's this feeling of alienation that might come up in certain relationships, or expressive. Like, I wish I could think of all the Venus things and find a common thread between them. Like, how Venus is so many different things. Like, oh, it's relationships, it's money, it's expression, creativity. Like, what is the thread that binds those together? I don't know. But Uranus squaring Venus, this feeling of alienation and possibly feeling as though the people around us are either not acknowledging the work we put in to improve something, because that's what Virgo is about. It's about all these little improvements that amount to big shifts. So there is this vibe I'm getting of, do you see the work I'm putting in? Do you see how much effort I'm putting in to express whatever is represented by Venus? Express myself, express my love, express, the social component as a whole, the connectivity that comes from Venus, the attachments, there it is. Venus is attachments. So there's this, like I keep saying, a sense of alienation. Like, do people see that I'm changing and growing, or are they distracted? Uranus in Gemini, locked in a square with Venus in Virgo, it's like this feeling that people are distracted when we try to talk to them, or they break away because Uranus is breaking away when we try to establish some form of familiarity, because Virgo is about routine and kind of formulating habits. So I also felt like this may be a time where social routine gets broken in some way, like shifts in how we interact with certain people every day. Then we have Uranus trining Pluto, which is even more shifting. Uranus and Pluto both fundamentally represent change. I was thinking about this a lot today, and I will be talking about it in a different video, because this is just supposed to be about Venus and the pressure that she incurs in Virgo this week. Uranus and Pluto are both about change. And what I was getting from this, I don't know how deeply it's going to manifest for whoever's watching this. Like, it may just be surface level, it could pop up in a super mundane, not super deep way. But what I got from this is certain relationships feeling like work or school, or maybe certain people dealing with work or school relationships. And this sense of being alienated, left out, or examining what people notice about effort keeps going back to that. Do you see the effort? Do you see what I'm working on? Do you see that I'm working on myself? Do you see my potential? There's a lot of that's coming in with this aspect. We have Pluto and Uranus in a trine, which again, Uranus and Gemini begs us to break out of our perception that we look at different things the same way every time. I think we all do this. And Uranus and Gemini is like, look at it differently. So what would Uranus be asking us to look at differently this week? In my opinion, it is response or acknowledgement to effort in relationships. Look at the work other people are putting in, acknowledge their effort. Where do you belong? The more you edit yourself. That's another theme that was coming through. Like, if you keep editing yourself, which is what Venus and Virgo. Oh, the light just turned off. That was weird. Hold on. I don't know how that happened. I think I kicked it, but I wonder if that's symbolic of anything. This is just how I think. If something happens, I'm always like, what does it mean? And I think it's kind of dumb at times. Now I gotta wait for my computer to turn back on. What was I saying? Oh, Venus and Virgo. If you keep editing yourself for whatever reason because you don't feel like your efforts are going to be acknowledged in their more raw form, the question Uranus asks, as well as Pluto and Aquarius, is where are you going to belong? There is something within us that deserves to sort of be expressed in its raw form. That's what Pluto is asking for as well. And now Pluto in Aquarius, to me, represents fear of exile. Like, the more I think about Pluto in Aquarius, the more I think it contains that fear of social exile, because Aquarius is the social collective. It's the groups we belong to. It's our sense of, okay, I look out into the world, into community, and this is how I belong, where I belong. But Pluto has this habit of extracting the insecurities for transformation, for the sake of transformation. So, how are we working really hard to belong is the question. And Uranus and Gemini, it's like change your perception of belonging, like what you're working toward to belong to. And I got this energy of that feeling when you spend forever cultivating something, refining it, editing it, as we keep going back to. And sometimes you do all that and you really repress your rawness because you are convinced that you need fixing. And sometimes we do that and then we look up and we realize what we were working toward in editing ourselves to death is not even something that aligned with us in the first place. Now, I want to keep emphasizing that everything I'm saying may manifest at different levels of mundanity. Here's an example of the different levels of mundanity, okay? For some, it could be as simple as, yeah, I was working to save up to see this movie in the movie theater. I was really slaving away, taking extra time at work because Venus and Virgo. I was saving, I was repressing the urge to go hang out with friends at the bar, and then I saw a different trailer and I realized this is not the movie I wanted to see. It could be that simple. And this is where astrology gets interesting. And I'm really learning what my branch is after all these years. And I think what I'm supposed to be doing with this is just exploring the symbolism. And that's it. It's not supposed to be like, oh, this is set in stone and it's going to happen. I think that's not what I want to be doing. I want to just present the symbolism that appears as I explore it. And you get to decide how deep it is for you, or if it's not even happening at all. You know, I don't want it to be deterministic. So that's the simple. It could be as mundane as that. On a deeper level, though, it could be like, man, I really wanted to belong to this community, and I've been striving to match their culture, their ideals. And then someone in that scenario possibly would feel themselves shrinking the more they edit themselves, until one day they wake up and they're exhausted and they're like, I did not think that that's what I wanted the whole time. Pluto, an interesting thing about Pluto too, is that it exposes. So symbolically, let's keep it in that layer. Symbolically, this would be like something is exposed, possibly, however minor or major, I don't know. Something is exposed about what we were working toward, putting hard work and effort into expression, looking into the social sphere and striving. Uranus and Gemini in the square, look at it differently. Take a break from your autopilot perception. Uranus trining Pluto, it's time for more depth. It's time to change direction so you can experience more depth. And what happens when we sort of wake up out of inauthenticity is we suddenly have a navigation for more depth in certain instances. I've had this happen in my life a lot where I would be on autopilot, like working towards something, like I have to do this, I have to do it, this is what I have to do, right? And then all of a sudden, it falls apart. And it's like, oh my gosh, what was all that for? Or something's revealed where it's like, this was not what I thought it was in terms of me belonging to it. So that is this energy that I'm getting for this Uranus square with Venus. It's Venus square Uranus. Um, the outer planets in the terminology don't square the inner planets. It's always that the inner planet is making the aspect. Okay, so what else was I going to talk about with this before getting to the cards? I wanted to look at the dispositor. Venus's dispositor is Mercury, because Venus is in Virgo and Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Venus's dispositor is Mercury, and Mercury is still retrograding through Cancer, which is the reviewing of emotional bonds and emotional processing. Like, this is how I habitually look at emotions. This is how I function in emotional conversations. This is the sort of nurturing my mind needs, which could be something that comes through with all the Gemini, well, all the Mercury based energy. It's like, this is what my mind needs to function. So that could be part of this shift in awareness when we look out into the social sphere and wonder if either we still belong or if we're being recognized for improving, or if we just feel like a sense of alienation, like everybody else is not bogged down. That's another thing that was coming through. I forgot to say. I got this vibe of looking out into the social sphere and seeing everyone else kind of be more carefree, and kind of by comparison there's this sense of burden coming through of like, why can't I be that carefree? I don't know if it'll be true, but that is something else. And with Mercury in Cancer, that is another dose of wondering where we belong. It's like, where do I belong? What have I built around me that I can retreat into? And with Mercury retrograding in Cancer as Venus's dispositor, it's like really examining where our capabilities belong. Like, if I'm going to work toward this, is this really where I belong? It's just a strong thing that's coming through. Oh, I wanted to read some of my notes because it covers stuff that I missed in trying to off the cuff this. So I'm going to just read from my notes. This is a complicated configuration, and I wrote that because we have a lot of stuff going on with this Venus square. We have the Venus Uranus, then we have Pluto trining Uranus, then we have the dispositors, we have Mars conjunct Uranus, but it's separating. So that's what I meant by complicated configuration. Okay. Venus squaring Uranus, we're afraid of being left behind while we struggle with spontaneity or fun in some way, because Venus is about fun. It's like, why am I doing all the work while other people are goofing off? But the funny thing is, everyone's dealing with insecurity in some way. Uranus and Mars conjunct in this square, people seem to detach quickly from our perspectives. We fear they're not listening. That was another thing. This vibe of people being distracted when we try to talk to them isn't something else I was getting. Uranus trining Pluto, something must break down in the face of struggling to achieve resonance in a community sense. This may seem a little left field, but I think it connects symmetrically in here somehow. With Venus in Virgo, our inner critic is activated. We may struggle to put down the microscope in social situations or in the arena of our self-expression. We more clearly see the ways in which we may not belong to the outer social sphere. There's fear of being left behind, fear of others having more fun, fear of conversations that feel potentially alienating. Now, I'm not bringing any of this up to be predicting this. It's just the symbolism I was exploring. And I like to put this out here because what if this is accurate and somebody is going through some of these more intense themes? It's nice to hear something that resonates. And that's what I love about astrology. All the times in my life when I've gone through a really hard time and I hear how much sense the astrology makes, it has always helped me. So I'm not doing this to be a dooms hyper. I'm not trying to hype it. Then comes the shift that Uranus Pluto could bring. The thing we've been editing ourselves for is not even what we thought it was. The community we ache to belong to doesn't share our core values under the surface. That's a more extreme example. The fear we hold of not being parallel to desired social trajectory gets explored and exposed potentially. Pluto in Aquarius is digging into all the shadows that show the falseness of social unity for what it is. Yes, we are all connected, but our conscious behavior in a collective sense does not align with the unity we're striving for. Just because of how polarized the world feels, which I don't really want to get into that much. Venus being tested in this sense shows that perhaps what we ache for in the external does not align with the utmost potential that we picture for our evolution. This whole aspect feels like a transformation of the FOMO reflex. Oh my gosh. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, it's time for the cards. Let me pick out a deck here. We have Venus in Virgo as the inspiration for this. We have, ooh, this is kind of fun. This is like a combo of Venus and Pluto and, yeah, I don't know. Very cool artwork, which is the Venusian. And to clarify, I will use my favorite 5-cent tarot. So here is how this works. The transit talk that I have just finished blabbing is transitory. The transit will come, the transit will go. What I'm going to do now is pull some cards for whoever finds this, and if it resonates for you, it's for you. If it doesn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's not a biggie, it's not a big deal. The reading now is timeless. That is the intention. You could put this on whenever, and if it is meant to find you for whatever reason, it will. So the reading's not dependent on the transit. Sometimes when I do the reading, the energy of the transit pops in. Don't worry about it. It's still timeless. So I have some questions here. I'm going to get through as many as I can. I don't know. I don't want this video to be longer than an hour again. I feel so bad that the videos are so long. Okay, I'm going to shuffle and then I will read the questions that are inspired by the Venus Uranus square with Pluto and Mars and all the fun junk. Okay. I'm gonna shuffle. I'll be back. Okay, I have shuffled. Here are the questions. What is your relationship to self-editing? Like, how do you feel a compulsion to change yourself? We all do this. It's a very human thing to experience. So, yeah. Question 2. How do others perceive your efforts to better yourself? Question 3. What form of navigation are you moving away from? So how in your life are you moving differently toward or away from stuff? Because of Uranus, it's that like, I want to break away. How are you breaking free from self-judgment? Is question 4. What role do you play in community that is authentic? Is question 5. Question 6. What are you currently refining unto its highest expression? All right, let's get started. Question 1. What is your relationship to self-editing? We have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. It's very at your core. Self-editing to seem practical and connected to everything. There's this fear of disconnecting or going offline, not in a literal sense. It's like, I have to be here. If something happens, I have to be present. There's also difficulty being present because there is such a strong need for connection. Self-editing to a strong need to connect, a fear of feeling cut off. So you keep yourself extended, perhaps, for fear that you will miss an opportunity to improve or an opportunity to fix something. It's very medicinal. That puts you in the position to be a healer and to be of assistance. It's very Virgo in its scope. So self-editing because you fear losing connection, which means you probably have a lot of connections that are deep and loving and meaningful. But with the weight of responsibility around connecting, there is also the fear of losing it all. We're going to clarify these. Okay. Question 2. How do others perceive your efforts to better yourself? We have the Tower reversed. Wow. People don't see how much you go through. That's what that feels like. So if you've had times in your life where you felt like you were crumbling, other people were not let into the loop, or they didn't realize how powerful the experience was. Tower reversed, it's like nothing ever happens to you. So what if, that's not what I'm saying, this is what I'm getting. What if there are people around you who assume that you never go through stuff or you don't experience calamity, and it feels like it's connected to this, where the fear of losing connection is so powerful that the cover protecting that fear is stoicism. Like, if I don't show the world how I'm falling apart in certain ways, then I won't lose the connection. That's what that feels like. And the side effect of being so stoic, and you do it to maintain your connections to people and what you love, the side effect is that people think you're sheltered in some way. Oh my gosh, that is intense. Question 3, we're going to clarify these and hopefully get more uplifting info. What form of navigation are you moving away from? So ways in which you navigate situations that are changing. We have the Ace of Wands reversed. You're moving away from hiding intensity. So that's directly connected to these two. No more hiding the intensity, because the intensity is also connected to inspiration. And this is almost a form of self-acceptance, but it's to preserve that inner fire. So maybe you have been one to put fires out for other people, and there's this bounce back effect where there's this feeling of being stifled, as a result of hiding intensity. It's like when you let the intensity out, people are able to meet you and they realize something in you that maybe they underestimated before with this tower reversed. Question 4. How are you breaking free from self-judgment? Oh my gosh, judgment. No way. Waking up to how severe it is, perhaps. Looking at the external cause. Okay. So, looking at external causes instead of blaming yourself, there's like a reckoning here. There is a moment of clarity, realizing you cannot move on while harboring judgments about yourself that may or may not be inaccurate. I think this is pretty self explanatory. Um, breaking free from self judgment by seeing yourself differently. And maybe this is connected to some sort of sudden event where you've had to come to your own defense and see yourself with precision instead of these. Well, it does feel very Virgo in scope. I don't know if you have Virgo in your chart. These little nitpicky things that build up. There's like a switching over to the big picture instead of harboring little nitpicky criticisms about yourself. There's like a, oh, the big picture is coming in now. Didn't see this before. So there's a big switch away from mundane reality being sort of oppressive to big picture reality being liberating. That is really cool. Question 5. What role do you play in community that is authentic? Knight of Wands reversed. I'm only laughing because it's cool. That is basically being blunt with other people about their capabilities, like people who are egoic. I don't know if you like to call them out. Keeping people grounded. So being that person who doesn't lie to you about what you can accomplish or what they can accomplish. Knight of Wands reversed, in answer to this question, it's like, well, before you run off and think hot shit about yourself, you better slow down and make sure you're taking care of things. Knight of Wands reversed has the vision, but he's so obsessed with the vision, he doesn't tend to the cautious elements of what needs to be addressed first. So I don't know if you're used to people sort of running off and thinking they are kind of hot shit, and all of a sudden they're like falling flat on their face. That's what this feels like. And there's like you having the wisdom of being like, I knew that was going to happen. Told you that would happen. So, interestingly, that helps people. You are possibly somebody that helps people temper themselves and their expectations. That is a very authentic mode of being there for people. No sugarcoating. Question 6. What are you currently refining unto its highest expression? Death reversed. Being being able to change. Let me look at this closely. Death reversed as something that is being refined. It's like protecting, being able to protect. This vulture looks really protective, and it's like salvaging. being able to harness your understanding of the intensity. It goes back to the Ace of Wands reversed. It's like accepting the intensity. Something that looks dark from the outside, it's like as you approach it, you realize that there's beauty in it. So this feeling you're refining of going to a dark place that looks intense from the outside, and you're able to cross the threshold and find the beauty that's in it. We'll clarify it though, because I'm a little bit blocked trying to read this. Okay. I love vultures. They're so cool. It's like my favorite bird. Okay, let's clarify these. I want to start with Death Reverse because I didn't get much from it. It felt a little bit basic. Seven of Cups. Refining the ability to see something for what it really is. Like, is this something scary or is it not that scary? It's like venturing into new levels of intensity. Same message. There's the moon. Refining your ability to approach the unknown. Facing a lot of fear around permanence. Shit, really? Look. No way, I just said the unknown. And then the unknown card. Why did that go into... Where did my light go? Put it back. Oh my gosh, there we go. That's crazy. So you're refining possibly your ability to approach the unknown, the subconscious. You are refining your conscious and subconscious expression. It's like, oh, where does this idea come from? I don't know. It kind of just came out of nowhere. There's like new states of inspiration. So you may have faced a fear that gave you access to a new layer of your subconscious. The moon is the subconscious. Seven of Cups is the subconscious. And then the unknown card. It's like you crossed a threshold where instead of being blocked by your subconscious, it's inspiring you. That's what that feels like to me. That is really cool. Death, it's like the most serious thing we could think of when we try to approach something new or we go towards something we're afraid of. It's like we're gonna, I don't know, it's being afraid of the permanence. I'm kind of running out of time here, I think. Let's see. Maybe I'll end this here. I think I got pretty much a lot from all the other ones. What about this one, though? Queen of Pentacles reversed, clarified by Nine of Cups reversed, being afraid of looking irresponsible. Yeah, it's identifying with the ability to nurture responsibly, not just the messy sentimental form of nurture, like people who say, oh, it's okay, everything will be okay. No, this is like somebody who is not about the messy side of nurturing. It's not that you can't do it, it's that you feel a bigger sense of purpose perhaps around the role of nurturing, to where maybe you over identify with it in some way. Then we have Three of Pentacles. Yeah, collaborating, teamwork, showing presence in very self-extending ways, very practical. I will come over and fix this for you type of energy. It's very Virgo. And then Four of Cups reverse, sometimes it drains you perhaps. Yeah, it's such a motivated, responsible focus. Really learning how to take care of people, maybe at a young age, I don't know. That's what this feels like though. Um, yeah. So that was, hopefully it resonated. I'm not sure. I never really know, but thank you for watching. If you made it this far, that's crazy to me. I'm mind blown. Thank you so, so, so much. Yeah, I'll be back with more stuff. And see ya. See you later. Bye.